My name is Margaret, and I am 68 years old. I've always believed that family is everything. That belief kept me alive through the hardest winters, the loneliest nights, and the most painful losses. But sometimes, the people you raise are the ones who break you first. And sometimes, silence becomes your sharpest weapon. Let me tell you my story. It isn't just about revenge, it's about dignity, about rediscovering who you are when the world forgets you. When my husband Edward passed away, the house felt painfully quiet. 42 years of laughter, fights, morning tea, and quiet evenings, gone in a single heartbeat. David, my only son, asked me to move in with him. He said, "Mom, you shouldn't live alone." And I believed him. I thought, perhaps this was God's way of keeping me surrounded by love again. So I moved in with David, his wife Lisa, and their little boy Ethan. That little boy, my grandson, was the light of my life. He would run to me every morning shouting, "Grandma!" and throw his tiny arms around me. Those hugs made every sacrifice in my life worth it. I cooked, cleaned, and took care of everything at home while David worked. Lisa, my daughter-in-law, was polite at first. We laughed together, watched TV shows, and shared recipes. She used to say, "You're like a mother to me," and I truly thought she meant it. But over time, something changed. The little smiles disappeared, her voice turned sharp, and small cutting words started to slip through her lips like poison. "Grandma, you forgot to turn off the stove again." "Grandma, maybe you shouldn't carry Ethan. What if you drop him?" "Grandma, you don't understand these modern things." At first, I laughed it off. Age comes with mistakes, after all. But the tone behind her words grew colder every day. Soon, my mornings became quiet. The laughter that once filled our house had turned into whispers behind closed doors, and I began to feel like a stranger inside the home I helped build. One afternoon, I was making tea in the kitchen when I heard her voice from the next room. Lisa was on the phone with one of her friends. She said, "Once her pension comes in, I'll make sure David moves her out. She doesn't need all that space anyway. She's just sitting here, doing nothing." My hands trembled. The teacup slipped from my fingers and shattered across the floor. I couldn't believe what I'd heard. This woman, whom I had treated like my own daughter, was planning to take away my home. And worse, my son, he never questioned her. That night, I asked him gently, "David, do you think I am a burden?" He hesitated. Then he sighed and said, "Mom, Lisa just thinks you'd be more comfortable in a senior home. You'll get good care there." I felt my heart sink. All those years of raising him, of teaching him kindness, of saving every penny for his education, and now I was too old to matter? 2 weeks later, I was standing outside with my small suitcase. Lisa smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, Grandma, we'll visit." But I knew they wouldn't. The door closed behind me, and just like that, I was gone from the very house I helped pay for. I rented a small apartment near the edge of town. It was quiet, almost painfully so. At night, I could hear the ticking of the clock, the echo of loneliness bouncing off the walls. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, not out of anger, but out of disbelief. How could love vanish so easily? But one morning, while watering the small plant by my window, I realized something. If I stayed broken, that would be my true failure. So instead of asking, why did this happen to me? I started asking, what can I do about it? That day, my revenge began, but not the kind filled with hate. No shouting, no screaming, only silence, planning, and patience. I visited an old friend of my husband's, Mr. Harris, a retired lawyer. He looked at me surprised when I told him everything. Then I handed him a folder full of documents, receipts from the home renovation, proof that half the house was paid for with my money. Mrs. Margaret, you still legally own a share of that house, he said. A calm warmth filled my chest. Not joy, just peace, because justice was still possible. Together, we made a plan. I rewrote my will. All my savings, investments, and a piece of land in the countryside, everything would go into a trust, but not for David and certainly not for Lisa. It would all belong to my grandson Ethan once he turned 21. Until then, no one could touch a single cent. If they truly loved me, they would care for me, not my money. If not, well, then they'd get nothing. Months passed. I lived simply, peacefully. I grew flowers on my balcony, read old novels, and learned to enjoy my own company again. But then, one afternoon, I heard a knock at my door. When I opened it, I saw David and Lisa standing there, holding a box of chocolates and fake smiles. Lisa said, "Mom, we miss you so much. Ethan keeps asking for you. Why don't you come back home?" Guilt has a funny way of showing up when people need something. I smiled and said softly, "That's sweet, dear. Come in, let's have dinner." A week later, I invited them again, this time for a proper family meal. The table was full of food, laughter, and polite small talk, just like old times. But halfway through dinner, there was another knock. Mr. Harris walked in, holding a brown envelope. He greeted everyone and said, "Mrs. Margaret asked me to share a few documents regarding her estate." Lisa's face turned pale. David looked confused. Mr. Harris read aloud the new terms of my trust. It clearly stated that all my assets, property, and inheritance were secured for Ethan, and that David and Lisa would have no access until Ethan became an adult. For a long moment, no one spoke. The silence was heavy, almost sacred. Then I looked up and said, "I just wanted you both to know how much I love my grandson and how much I value honesty." Lisa's hands trembled. She muttered something under her breath and left the table. David stayed silent, ashamed. Weeks passed after that dinner. Lisa stopped visiting me altogether. Rumors spread that their financial situation was falling apart. Debts, missed payments, the things they used to hide behind luxury now catching up to them. I didn't smile at their downfall. I didn't need to. Life has a way of balancing itself. David came by one day, alone. He sat quietly, eyes filled with regret. He said, "Mom, I'm sorry for everything. You didn't deserve any of it." I held his hand and replied softly, "I forgive you, son, but don't forget the lesson. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's freedom. It means I can move on without carrying the weight of what you did." Now, years later, I still live in my small cottage. It's filled with peace, the kind that doesn't depend on anyone else. Ethan visits every weekend. He brings me flowers and stories from school. One day, he looked up at me and said, "Grandma, Daddy says you're the strongest woman he knows." I smiled and replied, "Strength, my dear, isn't about fighting back. It's about standing tall when the world tries to push you down." I sip my tea every morning, watching the sunrise. The same sun that once looked down on my tears now warms my face with pride. They called me useless. Once they said I had no purpose, no value. But they were wrong, because the day I stopped being afraid was the day I became unstoppable. So if you ever feel forgotten, if you ever feel like your love and sacrifices mean nothing, remember me. Remember Grandma Margaret, who lost everything and still found the strength to rise again. Because sometimes the quietest hearts hold the loudest power.